Okay, so I got this old Craftsman 31cc weed eater here. I got it for free. I'm going to go ahead and show you why I got it for free. That should be pretty evident right there. All the fuel lines on it need to be replaced. It's got no extension there on the end of it right now. I'm going to be putting my brush cutter extension on the end of this and using it primarily down at the ridge where I don't care how bad I beat it up. But let's pull the cover off here, and you can see on the inside as well that our fuel lines are good and broken. So before this thing gets running, I'm going to need to replace the fuel lines, and I'm going to take you all along on that journey with me. This is all I'm going to be using is this basic fuel line replacement kit. It's all one piece. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I did is remove that fuel line that's coming out of the top of the carburetor there, off that little nipple right there on the top. Took that off, and I also took the push ball off, the little bulb here. And I wish I had a new one of these, but I don't, so I'm going to use the old one. And that's it. We're just going to run that new fuel line on the top first. So let's do it. Quick and easy. Ran that fuel line out of the top of the carburetor. Ran it through the housing here on the weed eater. And out the other side. Obviously it's a hole that goes all the way through. Out the other side here, but I always keep my fuel lines in one piece until I get them the exact length I want them, and then I cut them. It's kind of a little pro tip for you. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and put that bulb back in there, and the fuel line runs from the top of the carburetor through the housing and into the top port on the little push bulb there. And that's all there is to replacing that part of the fuel line. Next, we'll replace the fuel line here that comes out of the bottom of the carburetor. I'm going to slip this off, and it goes up and into the fuel filter, which is inside the fuel tank there. So let's go ahead and slip this off and keep on moving. I don't have a new fuel filter right now, which I really should have, so I'm going to use this old one because it doesn't look like it's in that bad a shape. So I got to make sure that I don't break this. Got to get that little piece of hose off there still and not lose that little washer that goes on the outside. I'll show you how this works. This is the hardest part of the entire project. You just have to go ahead and put that fuel filter on one end of the hose, and then you're going to need to feed it through the fuel tank through that back hole there. Hopefully you can see that. It's the one closest to the right side of the screen. Okay, they give you one of these little tools here to help you feed it through. You don't have to use it. You can use it. It's up to you. Kind of show you how that works. Okay, so as you can see there, just go ahead and kind of hook that little feeder thing on. I'm only using it as demonstration purposes. I usually don't use these. But it feeds right out the bottom, and you kind of just pull it through. I'm making this sound way easier than it is, just to give you a heads up. You're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit, but trust me, eventually you will get it all lined up and get that fuel line run correctly. With said fiddling out of the way, you can see that I have run that fuel line to the bottom port on the carburetor. Ran down through the fuel tank. I put that washer back on. Remember to put that on before you hook up that fuel line. And that's about it. Pressing the fuel filter in place from the top inside the tank is actually the hardest part of this entire procedure, but with the proper tools like a bent nose, needle nose pliers, you'll be able to do that. Our last fuel line runs from the bottom port up into the other hole in the fuel tank, and that's just to pressurize it when priming. And there you go. So that's just like a little piece of fuel line runs from that bottom port into that front hole on the fuel tank. And you can see here, all of our new fuel lines are in place. Everything looks a lot cleaner. This type of fuel line is a lot more resilient than the other type that it actually came with, so hopefully it'll work good. And that's about all you're going to have left over, so kind of gives you an idea of what you have to work with. This entire project is going to cost you about $6, and depending upon your skill level, maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes worth of work. Let's go proof of concept. Well, as you can see and hear, she's running just fine. She'll work perfect for what I need. I have no dripping fuel. That's one of the things you're going to want to check. No dripping fuel there on the concrete. Nothing coming from the bottom of that fuel tank. So everything's good. Again, no drops on the concrete, so you know nothing's leaking. And since we're done, I'm not sure why you're still here. You got stuff to do. You need to get back to work. I'll see you on the next video. The video's over. You can go now if you want. Hey, but before you go, why don't you think about giving me a thumbs up like or maybe even subscribing to my channel? I'd certainly appreciate it.